Sister's got saved. Brother Michael in the sea.
Stay with your mom.
Okay. I'm going to stream it. I mean, you can say you don't like them.
I love mom.
Alright, we are on and live.
They all have a little different in some types of way.
Alright. Alright, we are on and live.
They all have a little different in some types of way.
Shalom, shalom. Praise the Mighty YAH. Welcome to the house of Yahudah. We're going to open up today with a reading out of the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 2. So once we get to the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 2, let us face the east. This was Hannah's prayer, which was Samuel's mother, to the Almighty. She was there. She wanted a child. So she prayed to the Almighty. So let us face the east and let us read. We'll all take a verse. We'll start at verse 2. Praise the Mighty Yahweh. Yahweh is righteous. Hallelujah. Elder, next we do not start us off at verse 2.
There is none holy as Yah, for there is none beside thee. Neither is there any rock like our Elohim.
Talk no more so exceeding proud. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for Yah is the Elohim of knowledge. By him answer the way. The bows of the mighty men are broken. They that stumbled are girded with strength. Verse 5 reads, they that were fools have hired out themselves for bread. They that were hungry ceased. So that the barren had torn 7, and she had 3 children in right people.
God killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up.
God maketh poor and he maketh rich. He bringeth low and he lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth the beggar from the dunghill, set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. The pillars of the earth are Yahweh. He hath set the world upon them.
He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be fallen in darkness. For by strength shall no man prevail.
The adversaries of Yah shall be broken into pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. Yah shall judge the ends of the earth. He shall give strength unto his kings, and exalt the horn of his anointed. Blessed be Yahweh, our King, our Judge, for his beautiful and glorious name is one that is established. Yahweh bless you, Yahweh thank you, for without you, Yahweh will not. Shema Israel, Shema Israel, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Eloheinu, Akam. Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hero Israel, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh is one. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. Praise Yahweh.
Right. Right, let's get it. So, last week, I didn't broadcast the second portion because it was user error. I hit the wrong button and messed some things up. I ain't messed up. So, praise Yahweh. It's fixed and we won't have any issues. Hopefully, by Yah's will. For it is an honor for us to be able to broadcast and to praise Yahweh and to praise the Almighty and to have a way to broadcast and a place to worship Yahweh. So wherever your prospective places are of worship, treat them with kindness, treat them with respect, keep your places clean and together. Tell BS that it is not allowed in the place of worship. Drama, anger, frustration, leave that stuff at home. Leave it in the backyard under the doghouse. When we come into these places of worship, when we come in here, that's exactly where we should have our mindset on, is to worship Yahweh, to learn, to grow, and to ask questions. For anyone that may tune in, I don't mind being questioned. I don't mind you, disagreeing with something that I've said. But if you want to come with a battle spirit, that goes for anybody that's listening. If you want to come with a battle spirit, you won't get it from me. I'm sorry, I'll be boring to you. Because I've done too much of that and done too much to break up and done things that have not kept the Sabbath holy. So today is a holy day. Now I'll answer questions on learning. If you want to learn and grow, then let's do that. And we can all learn together. But as far as you want to battle me and want to argue with me, if you want to do that, set a time and I'll be glad to meet you on the first day, the second day, the third day, all the way to the sixth day, if that's what you want to do. I have no problem with that. I don't run from a battle. But I'm here to let you know that when it comes to Yahweh's holy day, this is his day, not mine. Alright, praise Yah. Okay. Are there any other testimonies? So now let's go over testimony. I refuse to believe nobody's going to do this.
Hey, now I got one, but it's more like an analogy. It came to me, so I was making an omelet, right? So just bear with me on this.
Sure.
So I was trying to make me some breakfast, and from the start of it, I was doing everything I knew to be right, but I just did not think it would turn out right. And I'm cooking it, I'm flipping it, it's not flipping, it's falling apart. Like the whole process is just it's a struggle. So I know it's not gonna come out right. But praise Yah, it did. So I took that analogy and applied it to our walk with Yah. So oftentimes we feel like we're doing everything we can, but it's just not going the way it should be, or it's just not going to end out the way it should for us. But if we trust the process, and you just keep doing what you know to do it right, in the end it will work out. So that's what I got from that. So praise Yah.
Praise the mighty Yahweh. Hallelujah. And also, too, if you can hear me, if you can hear us, type in praise Yahweh. Type in praise Yahweh. It may come up over there. So type in praise Yahweh if you can hear. So I want to make sure nothing is mute. Okay? Any other? Yes, ma'am.
First and foremost, I like to give all praises to the Almighty Yahweh. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I like to thank the Almighty for waking me and my family up, keeping me safe during the week. I also like to thank the Almighty for my grandchildren. I have two that live with me, and to be so considerate. A lot of young people, well, for one thing, there's a 14-year-old that the maintenance man told him to get out of the building, and he shot him. 14. I like to thank the Almighty that I have grandchildren that's not out there on the street. One of my grandsons is getting ready to start a job next week. most young teenagers that's going to start working, they always think about me. I'm going to have this. Well, my one grandson, he said, I'm going to help my mom out because I think she needs a little help. And I was like, all praises. Because you don't find too many teenagers just think about helping their mom out with money. So I just thank the Almighty for having a grandson that's so humble, not a selfish. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. I agree. I mean, a lot of young people get money, they think about me this, about that. And I learned something too, that a lot of these young men that's out here on the streets, they ain't out here just selling dope for joy. They selling dope because they feel like they gotta be the man in the house. That's unfortunate. But it's a beautiful thing when you have youth that want to do what's right. That's a blessing in itself. Blessing in itself. Praise Yahweh. So, yeah.
Sister Andrea said, praise Yah, all praise and glory to the Almighty. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom, Sister Andrea. Praise the mighty Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom. Praise Yahweh. Any other blessings? Yes, ma'am.
Well, the last week I was financially worried, I should say, and Yah just kind of made me realize that maybe
That's right. That's right.
kind of blessed me which is
I'm going to tell you something, worries come. Because you serve Yahweh and, calling on his name and keeping the Sabbath don't mean that the worries will not come. Oh, let's turn to the book of Isaiah 4. Turn to the book of Isaiah chapter 4. In the book of Isaiah chapter 41, Hannah, you read verse 10. Read it loud. Power the Tamara because he didn't do so.
I have this highlight. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy Elohim. I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee. Yeah, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness.
Yahweh says, fear not, I am with thee. Says, fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, or be worried. For I am thy Elohim. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. No one has to answer this right now, but think in your mind, do we believe this to be true? Do we believe that we can, do we believe that someone that we cannot see can save us? Like, is that a fact? Do we really have that much trust for the Almighty to believe that they got it? Just think about it. Just think about it. Think about the times that we put so much energy into worrying. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to share something. Last night, one of the most busiest days for me is the 6th day. Because I have to, after I get out from work, my day starts I got 3 days out the week where my day starts early. I'm up at 4 a.m. and I might lay my head down at 11 p.m. And most of it I'm doing something. So That's 3 days out the week that I'm up at 4 a.m. So yesterday was one of those days when my day starts at 4 a.m. Maybe a little bit after 4. So then I go do what I do from in the morning till about maybe 6:30. And then I go and I get ready for work. And then I go to work and I go to work. Then I get off from work. I do some running. Then I go home. Now, this is usually the time where I have to clean, get ready for the spot day. You know, little touches on my lesson, or even have to come up with a lesson. Usually, a lot of the lessons that y'all bless me with are thoughts that I had from the last Sabbath, and I just meditate on throughout the course of the week. So, I have to put these things together. Sometimes I don't get to that till about 9 or 10 o'clock. Sometimes even 1 o'clock at night. So that's busy for me. Well, last night, we took my daughter out, and Kira, we all went to, me, my wife, and my daughter, and Kira, we got my little niece. We all went to the store. We did some things. I did some running. When I get home, it's late, and I'm sitting on the couch, and we went to the store, we had movie night last night. So we sitting there, and I'm fell asleep on the So I get up, and I'm like, oh, and I'm frustrated. Like, I got so much I still have to do. But then it hit me. Do what you can do. Do what you can do. I'm entering the Sabbath. I don't want to bring that spirit in on the Sabbath. Do what you can do. There's this in the sink. Okay, so I may have went to bed last night about 2 o'clock after I finished the lesson for today. But the best part about it is I'm just finishing up from last week, so I ain't get to finish. I didn't even get to do my tribute, but we went off. But we had a great class. Anyway, we talked about it. It was an awesome class. And one of the things that we have to learn to do is when we feel there's a moment of frustration, we have to pause and let go. Let go. There are things in our lives that we cannot fix because, hey, it's like, what happens to bread if you let it just, I'm talking about regular bread. Ezekiel bread can survive any type of bread. So, if you ever had Ezekiel bread, y'all know what I'm talking about. So, this regular bread, when you put it in water and let it sit in water, what happens? It dissolves. It dissolves, right? So when it dissolves, even if it's just a small piece still floating around, can you take whatever dissolved in that water and put it back together again? Like, can you reform that same piece of bread once it's dissolved?
Oh, that's might not be the same.
When you're right, in a sense, you might be able to if you catch it in the wrong time. But what happens when you don't catch it in the wrong time? You have red water, right? So I can't take that same bread and form it back to how it exactly was, right? And that's sort of like what we got to do with things in our life that we can't get close on. We don't stand there and cry over it. Like, well, the bread dissolved in the water, the bread dissolved in the water, and I don't know what to do. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. And I don't know what to do with the water, the bread, no, because you wasted time crying over something that you have no control over at that moment, right? So that's what we should do with our issues. Hold on 1 second, guys. Shalom. Yes. I thought that was Sister Andrea in there. Okay. So that's what we should do. So this is what we should do. When you look at that bread, you can't get that bread back. Right? So there's nothing you can do about it. That's how we should look with problems in our lives. If I can't get a solution to the problem, if I didn't catch it in enough time to try to save it, the best time to try to save that bread is when you what? When it first hits the water. But you ain't thinking about it because you're thinking, it's hit the water, it's going to be soggy. So what ends up happening is that bread begins to dissolve more and more and more and more and more and more and more in that water, right? So when it begins to dissolve in that water, there's nothing you can do. Now I can stand here and cry over it and be upset because the bread is dissolved. Or I can just move on and try to get another piece. Okay? So there are certain things that we're never going to get close on because they're dissolved. So we have to move on. Not to be harsh, not to be mean, but we have to move on from certain things. Because what can happen is I could become a slave to that bread. Totally, and what will happen is with me becoming a slave to that bread, it would cause me to then not even pay attention to the other loaves of bread that I had that are just like this one, but maybe to be a little better. It totally take me off that I have plenty of options. I'm just going to focus in on this option because this one hurt me the most because I wanted that piece of bread, but fortunately it was. So I have to move on. So when Yahweh says in the book of Isaiah chapter 40 and 10, or chapter 41 and 10, Isaiah 41, says, fear not. So he said, I'm with thee. But the question I asked was, do you believe that? I had some French's name for everyone. And we're going to go over the lessons and why we wear them, and I'm going to show you guys how to yours. Okay. You need to do this. Yeah, I did talk about this. You don't have to explain about that. I have to explain. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Great job. But we're doing testimony now, so there you have the testimonies. Yes, sir.
I want to say praise to the Almighty YAH. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I just want to say there's been some stuff going on that I don't know about, but it's making me feel better. Like, when I'm talking about how I was, me not eating during the day is making me more energy. I have more energy when I'm not eating. Mm-hmm. I feel even better. I feel great when I'm eating. But it's like, it's food. When I do eat, it's food. But when I eat food, it's like I get food. You know what I'm saying?
But it's not the food. It's the spirit. Food is an inanimate object. Food cannot jump up and tell you, hey, you don't have an attitude today. Hey, you gotta be wrong today. It's not the food. The spirit that we allow to. Like, for example, now there are some foods, I take that back, there are some foods that have certain chemicals in them that can affect you. Like sleepy, like chicken, poultry. And there's certain chemical in that stuff that can make you sleep. Literally. But as far as, when I take that back, because there was a study done that some foods can control your mood. Like when you eat a lot of junk food, a lot of fast food, You understand? A lot of grease and fried foods. That can't affect your mental. So I take that back. It can't affect your mental. It can't. So it's always good to, like you brought out a good point I want to mention too. I almost forgot it. I talked to Elijah for a moment. It was a quick moment because he was doing something. He was at work, so we didn't have a lot of time to talk. So we talked for a quick minute. He brought out a point. He said, man, we only concentrate on our physical health and not our spiritual health. I thought that was really profound that young brother came with that. Because he's absolutely right. We spend more time in the gym than we do in the scriptures. Some of us don't even go to the gym. Some of us don't even probably read the scriptures. How many of us in here read that we didn't go over last week, that Job chapter 3? Everybody has access to scripture. So why is there only one person that read it? Right. You know how busy I am? Y'all working this week, I'll be working 2 jobs. Plus I do something in the morning. And I still read. So I ain't trying to hear nobody say that I don't have time. Everybody got the time to complain. If everybody got time to complain, you got time to read. Get in this book. Read a chapter. I'm gonna tell you what I do. If it's a long chapter, I read 10 verses at a time. And I don't like just reading and rushing through it. I want to read it and understand it.
I learned audiobook and it helps too.
You said what?
Audiobook and
that's it. Audiobooks. You can download Audible, put on there the Bible, or even I use Bible Gateway. When I was in the hospital, I didn't have my scriptures. They gave me an iPad for my room. They gave me an iPad, and some days I would listen. When I wasn't, when I was really down and I didn't want to read, I would lay in the bed and I would listen to scripture. You can do that. We'll listen to foolishness all day. We'll sit there and do this all day, looking at TikTok. There ain't nothing wrong with, if you want to do that, you do that. I'm not putting nobody down for that, but what I am saying is get in the book and read something. Ignorance is not bliss, especially when you call to the carpet about it. Yes, ma'am.
So, my son has a driveway. He does the boys. They'll listen to it, and then he'll go back to other person, like he's showing something again at the citizen, and he'll have a
praise Yahweh. And you know where I'm at in the scriptures? I started in the book of Genesis. I'm in the book of Numbers. Reading straight through it. I'm still in the Torah. So I started chapter 3 last night of Numbers. And you take your time. You don't know rush. This ain't no competition. Every day we wake up should be a day that we should do something better for ourselves. When y'all wake you up in the morning, that's a great opportunity for you to do something. Get up early enough and go take a walk. Go exercise. Go take a walk. Everybody say you gotta join no gym and have a trainer to do that. Just get up, go outside, take a walk. Take a walk. That's exercise. Instead of having that bacon and egg and biscuit sandwich and stopping at McDonald's and buy you some fruit. Frozen fruit is really not that expensive.
We just bought frozen fruit in my house because all the frozen fruit was in my room.
Yeah. Like we went to go get some cherries yesterday. Most of them that I had in my bag are bruised. But nonetheless, get you some frozen fruit, make you a smoothie. You can do that in the mornings. You know what I'm saying? Little steps. Take little steps. If you always angry, do something that brings you a little joy. You understand? Look, let me tell you something. Let me tell you what my mom did before she passed. You know what my mom used to do? Coloring books. And my mom would get a coloring book, and she would color. I used to always think, even as little, my mom's the best color. Mm-hmm. Just get you something, just take the edge off. Instead of spending money on weed and alcohol and just buy you some, you know what? And another suggestion, get you a notebook. I think everyone in here should get a notebook. Get you a notebook. These will go to Family Dollar and get you a notebook. And get you a pack of pens for like $3. And just, when you're mad, write it in your notebook. You ain't gotta write no dissertation. If you want to take and open your book and say, all over the paper, get it out. That's therapy. They've done research on those things. Get it out. But every day should be a day we grow and become better. You tired of being fat? Then stop the thing that's causing you to be fat. You tired of being skinny? Then do things that'll bulk you up. You feel like you ugly? The first thing you need to do is appreciate the fact that you're here. And then if you say, look at my teeth, they crooked. Well, guess what? They got programs where you get free dough. $9 Stop sitting in misery. Because when you sit in misery, everybody around you becomes miserable. You ever been around somebody? You come in and you're like, yeah, it was good. Maybe like, alright. And by the time you leave them, you feel like, man, I feel so sad. I'm broken down. And then you get in the car and you sit, you're like, why am I upset? My day is awesome. And they want to call you with their problems, never happy. What you doing? Oh, I'm chilling, what's good with you? Hey, I was doing some meditating. You know, darkness is really awesome. Okay. So with the sun. Yeah, but did you know you can die from the sun? Like, really? And then you hit it with, don't you like happiness? Happiness. What's that? I like being mad and sad and angry and frustrated, and I want to blame everybody but my own miserable self. That's why some people may feel like I don't need no friends. I don't want nobody around because you don't want nobody to call you on your stuff. Like, look, be happy. What's to be happy now? All we're going to do is wake up one day and die. That is true. It might be true, but there's a lot happening in between. If all you focus in on is waking up and then one day you die, then you know what? You keep that over there. You keep that over there. Because when y'all wake, because that may mean you may not have been through enough to understand how beautiful life is. When you have been told you only got 2 days to live, and then you make it a year, you start realizing, man, life is beautiful. Go outside and enjoy the air. Stop complaining about the smog. Go outside and enjoy the leaves. Talk to yourself. It's okay. People don't think you're crazy because they're crazy. Because they crazy. Yeah. Sometimes I answer myself. I'll be walking around and, man, what should I do? Man, I should do it. Yeah. Okay, what nobody think? That's what I'm at with it. I'm going to answer myself. You know why? Because I can. And oh yeah, that is a good idea. I should do that. Oh, I should do that. Yeah, okay. Because that's me and my conversation. I have a whole dialogue with myself. I'll be in the car driving, like, you know what that says? Maybe I should talk about this. I'm going to ask you this. Yeah, maybe I should. Nah, I should. Yeah, I do it. And people think that I'm crazy for doing that. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you what you can do, like my mom said. Apple and feed them dog food. That's what I'm at with. Because once we stop caring about what people think, worrying about am Am I in the right? Because I'm going to tell you something. The scriptures talk about how man wavers. How the eyes of man are never satisfied. So no matter what you do, I don't care. Let me tell you something. I don't care how much, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care how much I may want to teach this class in the sense of where we all find, where we can find something that'll bring us in. Y'all all in here got something that y'all might have a problem with. Even though I'm edifying Yahweh and trying to make this class, even the people out there listening, if I care, but if I really cared, I would be crazy. Look at Moses. He had thousands of people on him. To the point where his father-in-law said, look, bro, hey, man, you need help. Everybody. Forget about the fact that you know, saw where the Almighty work through me, how to split the Red Sea. Forget about the fact how, you know, y'all want to use me to be a deliverance to you, but because you can't do what you want to do. Because everybody, but I take suggestions, but everybody's going to have a problem with everything you're doing. Somebody got a problem because you got your shoes on. Somebody got a problem because you got black shoes on, because you're wearing a hat, because you dressing like queendom. And somebody may feel like, well, that damn Annie, she just so quiet. She don't want to talk about. They don't find a problem with something. So if you spend your life caring, now I'm not saying to not be considerate. That's it. Be considerate to others. But when it comes to you, if you happy being the way that you are, you be you. Just as long as you don't get in the way of serving Yahweh. That's what the problem is. You understand? I have a lot that I think about during the week. I don't know how I got that. Yes.
And also, and but I think I'm starting to realize that reading more scripture, like I was reading it, but I just finished Exodus. I'm on Exodus. I'm in not Exodus. I finished Genesis. Like at the part where Moses basically telling Pharaoh to let the people go. Right. 6, 7, chapter. So when I started reading it, I actually kind of found some enjoyment. Like seriously, and it
interesting.
And then it kind of, it might have led me to where I'm supposed to be, like silent, like just teaching the word, basically, like going around the world and teaching. But seriously, going around the world teaching stuff like that, pretty fun. Like going to Puerto Rico or something, or Brazil, something.
I think that's an awesome idea. How you gonna finance? We ain't about to do that. Turn to the book of Ecclesiastes. We ain't about to. We not gonna be a hobo. Put it on y'all. Y'all be broke. No, he didn't make it.
Hey, it's a dude that does that.
Turn to the book of Ecclesiastes. Hey, right about to let you rock. Do that tomorrow, y'all. You will provide. You will provide. Hey,
Nah, there's a homeless man that does that, but people try to help him and stuff, but he always turns it away. Like, there's people that have been trying to like offer money, food, like places to stay. You're like, nah, man, the Most High provide a way for me. I don't need nothing from nobody. But that's the way, like the Most High is providing for you, but you just turn it away. Yeah.
All right. Well, turn to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7.
No, but that's a thing, man.
In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, read verse 12.
For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it.
There you go. And what that is saying is that wisdom is a defense. These are the words of King Solomon. Wisdom is a defense. So money. Now money isn't everything. Money only, money, actually people say money is the root of evil. No, people are the root of evil. People are the root of evil. And people that feel like, they don't want their money, I give my cash app. I take all the money you got. So when you get paid, just send me your check. Yeah, you ain't gonna do that, are you? You gotta, I can put it to good use. But I want people to realize something, that the forefathers, the righteous men in the scriptures, they were established. The reason that I'm coming at this, I understand the fact of scriptures, but I need people to understand that the Almighty, He works with who He works with, but we ain't aiming to walk around here hobos. We ain't doing that. Establish yourself. That's what men do. You want to be like Daddy Yahweh said, and all I notice is some of them now, man, I don't know everybody that do, that just makes you lazy and shitless. The men in the scriptures, before anybody go and do anything, even the prophets in the scriptures had something to do. The priests in the scripture, you know what? The people took care of the priests. But that was because Yahweh said, I'm your inheritance. You're not your inheritance. So when we paid tithe, the tithe went to the priests. You understand? So I want to destroy any notion that it's okay to be lazy. It's okay to live off of someone else. Because how is that edifying Yahweh? I'm living off of this person. I'm going from this far fetch to that far fetch. And let's be honest. Let's be real honest. How many times have y'all stopped to talk to a homeless man who is homeless? Exactly. But when you talk to him, but the world don't. But that's where y'all mind is. Y'all seeking knowledge. Most of the time, the world will drive past a homeless man. Won't even give him $1 because they say you trying to scam. There may be some out there that are. But once again, what you do? Yes.
I didn't know he was going to look at it like that. I mean,
Well, why not?
well,
Because your spirit with the Almighty, and I can say this from what you said, ain't strong enough for you to walk like that. Not if you're still saying you're dealing with certain issues that you can let go of, but you choose not to. And that's with all of us. If there are certain things that we're dealing with in our lives that we're allowing to weigh us down, we need to check that before we can do anything or move any forward. Because Yahweh deserves that. Yahweh deserves every bit of us. Every bit of us. But if I'm still willing to hold on to the darkness, then how am I going to make room for the light? How is that possible for you to do? If all I'm focusing in on is that dissolved piece of bread in the water, that's all I'm focused in on. I'm totally negating the fact that I got a whole slew of bread. Because I'm focused in on the thing that I cannot contain. I can't let it go. And because I can't let that go, that's going to be the root of my walk. All I'm going to think about is that dissolved piece of bread. Because once it's gone, it's gone. Why am I saying that? Because I've done it. I do it. Complaining and fussing and being angry about things that I have no more control of. My ex-wife passed some years ago. I can't get closure with her. She's gone. That's it. Whatever apologies we had for each other, it's gone. So I have to move on. Once we learn that, there are certain things that I can't control, or there are certain things that I'll never get closure on and move on from it, now I can begin to build my relationship with the Most High. There's not enough room for your Father in our hearts. A lot of times our Father supersedes the Creator. We will allow that. And I'm not saying that with any necessity, not being insensitive. I just want us to know that in order for us to completely engulf ourselves in Yahweh, there are certain things we got to do. Any other comments or questions?
Got a few comments. Norman Patterson. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sister Beulah. Praise the Mighty YAH. Shabbat Shalom. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Beulah. Praise Yahweh. And if y'all have any testimonies or anything that you would like to share, go right ahead. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Bread. It could be like a relationship. It could have with someone. It could all in the form. Don't you have hope something already be God. God is going to do. If you can do it, let people let it go. You want bread. You can get anything bread they got to go. Because we don't know it. People are worrying about they thought that bread that has been God, they can't put it back together. They're driving themselves crazy. They're calling your mama, they're calling your daddy, they're calling your friends, and they're driving them crazy. Like you said, it's just like that. That was way better than that design. Hey, mama got worried about that one.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to put it as well. Some things just you ever try to hold it. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I want y'all to do something. I want y'all to go to Walmart. I want y'all to buy one of the little balls that the kid children like and try to test that. Only $2. Try to test that. I want you to take that ball and buy some cheap baby oil. And put some baby oil. I mean immerse it in baby oil. Yeah, and immerse it in baby oil. Immerse it in baby oil and try to hold it as tight as possible. Tight as you can. Because 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen is it may stay, but every time you try to hold on to it, it's trying to slip. Because it wants to be let go of it. Because it's full of oil, so it's slipping. So you try to hold on to it. Stand up. If you don't want to buy a ball, do it with a balloon. Get a balloon, blow it up, a bunch of oil on it, and then you squeeze it, it's going to pop out your hand. Squeeze it, pop. Squeeze it, pop. Because it doesn't want to be. That's what it's like. That's something that we have a problem with letting things go. Because we have fear of maybe they'll find someone better. We fear that. Even though they mean us no good. Just like that, real quick, like that Beyonce song. And I'm not getting no relationships, I'm just sharing a thought. Like that Beyonce song, To the Left. And she was like, and he'd be like, you, I guess he said something like, you a fool, you'll never find nobody like me. She was like, I got somebody like you coming. And I think about that, like that sounds real stupid, Beyonce. Why would you want somebody like him if you're getting rid of him? I don't even try to make it sense. I don't care about the I know disrespect to thee, but that don't make sense to me. Because
into that song. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
I figured out why she said that.
I mean, it's like, just keep the pen. Thank you. It's like, you want to hold on to something. You want something to, no. If I want something different. Because obviously having you didn't work for me, so I don't want nobody else like you, so I can go and be in the same position as you. Now I know she was saying she was maybe using it like I get another man. Maybe she would, but I don't even want another man. I wouldn't even want another woman like you. I want somebody else. I want a woman that's totally opposite of you, so I can build a relationship. But that's all I was gonna say about that. Any other comments or questions?
Sister Sydney, she says, Shabbat Shalom, praise Yah, praise his holy and righteous name. He is worthy to be praised from the going down of the sun to the rising of the same. Praise the Almighty.
Praise the Mighty YAH. All right, so now let's turn to the book of Exodus 20. You know, the week before last, I had made a statement, and I felt really bad about it, in the sense of when bad things happen to people, God said, yes, you know, Yahweh is there. He is there. Now, some people may feel like, man, but why would he let this happen? Why would he let this? So I went home that day, that week, I meditated on that, like, man, you know, I need something out, so I had to go back in, and I had to relook at it. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to talk about some things here. But before we do that, let's go into the book of Exodus 20. We all take commandments. We all read. Alright? In the book of Exodus chapter 20, Elder, would you read verses 1 to 3?
And the Elohim say, all these words saying, I am Yahweh thy Elohim, which has brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other deity before me. Thou shalt. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Helen, will you take verses 4 to verse 6?
Thou shalt not make any likeness of any form that is in heaven above, or in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I am Elohim. I am Yahweh Elohim. I am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon the third and upon the fourth generation of them that hate me. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
That was the second commandment. Sister Angela, will you read verse 7, that third commandment?
You do not bring the name of Yahweh, your Elohim, to God, for Yahweh does not leave the one unpunished who brings his name to God.
When Elijah, you read verses 8 to 11, that's the fourth commandment.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh, thy Elohim. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh, thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maid servant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in the midst, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Yahweh. And stuff. To read the 5th commandment, this is verse 12.
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth.
And I'll read the 6th commandment, thou shalt not murder.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou shalt not steal. Do not bear false witness against your neighbor.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maid servant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is like it.
Right, very good. Yeah, beautiful. Any questions? All right. If there are any questions, please feel free to. Oh, yes, go ahead. Yes.
This is kind of going into like lineage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started looking up some lineages. Started looking up like the Korhites.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like. Is it true that another nation can start through Israel?
Another nation can start through Israel?
Like one of the Israelites, like they're an individual, like like Korah was Levite, and there's Korite. So I'm just saying, like another nation can start through Israel.
Another nation can start through Israel, but they're still considered part of that same nation. So it won't be a totally, in the sense of it wouldn't be a totally different nation like they would be. They would still be, their forefathers would still be Levites. The Korhites are Levites. So they would still be, like you said, Korhites. They're Levites. So Korah is the father of the Korah. It's generation after Korah. So they would be considered Korhites. However, they're still Levites. So it's not like they're a totally different nation from their original tribe that came. They can still be considered Levites. That's what I'm saying.
So basically, it's like this is just different tribes.
Sure, it's a different tribe, but they're still Levites. They're not different from, you know what? We'll talk. I can explain it like, let me explain it like this. Let me see. Let's say that you're from the tribe of Yahudah, right? And you have a son. And then your son has a son. And then so forth and so forth. And let's say even though they produce seed after you would be considered the father of all of them because you're the original seed. You're the original entity that created them, right? So if they went out, they would still be considered from the tribe of Yahudah. The tribe is just a family. So they wouldn't go and they wouldn't necessarily go out and be a different tribe in the sense of where they are not even Israelites, unless the Almighty took them and took that away from them. But just because they have offspring from you, don't mean that they're not still considered Yahudah.
So you're saying basically like there's somebody had a last name like this family of.
Yeah, this is the family of Elijah.
Yeah, Elijah.
And these here, this is the family of Elijah. Perfect example. These are the families of Elijah. And this is the seed, the great children, the grandchildren, all so forth and so forth and so forth. They are all from the seed of Elijah. And because Elijah is a Yahudahite, even though generation to generation to generation unless Yahweh said, I'm going to cut this generation off, then they'll go off and maybe start something different. But if the Almighty don't cut them off, they're still considered part of that tribe that they originated from. Which would be you from the tribe of Yahudah. So they would be considered Yahudah. That's what I'm saying. I think I can. Okay. Any questions off of that? Okay, very good. Turn with me to the book of Psalm 18. Turn with me to the book of Psalm 18. Yes, Psalm 18. I would like everyone in this room. Some people watching me might be like, come on, brother, okay, turn this into Sesame Street. But I want everybody in this room. You know, you listen to other teachers, they be in here destroying Christianity, Islam. Here I am talking about fear. And I want everyone in here to do something. And out there too, that may be listening. I want each person in here to give me one positive thing about yourself. Sometimes we as men have a problem with sharing that, so I start with our brothers first. Just one positive thing.
Yeah, he struggles with this the most. So.
You got it. Really one positive, just one positive thing. And I know your backstory, like, you know, like I did by Spider. I started saving my eyes. Give me one positive thing about yourself. Just
resourcefulness.
Resourceful. What about you,
I'm a handsome person.
Okay, you're big with that. You're very handsome, young man. Good. Talking good stock. All right. Great problem stock. I think I know what my elder gonna say. He exhibited it all the time. I'm gonna let her answer. I don't want to be presumptuous. Passion. So, resourceful, handsome, great problem solver, passionate. What about you, sister? It's one positive. Independent. Very good. Very good. So we all have these positive things about us, right? But even with these positive things that we have about ourselves, like mine is, I think I'm a great speaker. I'm a great speaker. But I can always do better. So that's my thing I like to say. I have the gift of that. But with all the positivity that we have in us, even that one thing, is it enough to keep us positive? In other words, when we have our down days, when we're down, do we allow that when we're down about to keep us from realizing the positivity that's within us? That's why I said, some may look at me as like a Sesame Street preacher. But that's what they do on Sesame Street. Which you think you could. But no, what I'm doing is just bringing out the beauty in us. And how Yahweh created us so beautifully. Perfect. To where we realize how beautifully that we truly are. If you realize that, and maybe that will help us to want to become closer to that which we look like. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, sister.
I was going to say, I was talking to my mom, and it's kind of similar to the conversation. She was saying, don't allow the negative things to turn you into what you are. And that negative, you can turn it into a positive. So I was saying how, like, I feel like I can't protect myself when I'm by myself. And she was like, well, when you're telling yourself that, why don't you try to come up with ways to how you can protect yourself instead of thinking, oh, I can't protect myself. What would you do? Instead of allowing yourself like to dwell on, oh, I'm gonna get hurt if I'm not doing this work by myself. I think, okay, what can I go do? I can go get some self-defense class. I can go to, the shooting range if that's what you want to do. Learn how to shoot a gun. Learn gun safety if that's what you want to do. And so, be positive can be about.
That's right. And you a great problem solver. It's funny you couldn't solve your own problem. But, yeah, that's right. It's easier for me to solve someone else's problem sometimes than my own. But that was a really quick and totally painless answer. Like somebody who's like, man, I'm so fat. I feel so out of shape. That was me. I'm so fat. I'm so out of shape. And then, it's like, it's change. You don't have to sit down and get those donuts. You don't have to eat a dozen donuts. How about you start with eating just one and keep it moving and just go and progress and maybe have a donut a day. And that way, how about you do that? No, when I taste one, it's like the other one like, come on, man. Yeah, you sitting there like, come on, man. The other donut like, come on, man. I was talking with him. He's finished my conversation. So you're right. So you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so you're right. It's just that simple. Just that simple. Yes, ma'am.
I was about to say, we said this again. I don't know her mother, but from what she just said and things she said about her mother, she is a very wise woman.
I just asked you.
That's a blessing to have a wise mother.
It is. It is a blessing to have a wise mother. Wise. Very wise. I'm going to tell you something, man. Realizing the positivity in yourself, the beauty in you, it would help you to appreciate the beauty in your own life. My wife asked me a question on our way here today. She said when you grow, it was sort of like when you settle, do you appreciate the things that you settled for? So my question is settling a bad thing? It depends. Yes, ma'am, Elder.
It depends, it depends on what you're settling about. Mm-hmm. Because I'm just going to speak for myself. Mm-hmm. Okay. For me, settling for just a high school education, I wasn't happy with that. I wasn't content with it. Mm-hmm. I felt I needed to do more. The reason for because I'm not a selfish person, and maybe that's why I wanted to go on to get a better education, not just for me, but for my children and to help my husband, and to help me, because I figured selling for just a GED or high school diploma, I'm not going to get it. I mean, I probably could get forward, but in this corporate America, can't even get a janitorial job. They must have a GED to just get that. So it all depends on what you're settling for. For me, I wanted to strive for a better education to be able to help my husband to take care of our children. So that's it. It all depends.
Praise God. Praise God. So the example my wife gave was, what if a man wanted a Corvette, right? He wants a Corvette. And someone called him and says, hey man, we need to look for a Corvette. I got a car for sale. It's almost like the Corvette. It looks identically like the Corvette. And I'm only selling it for $300 because it's good, it runs. My wife just wants me to get rid of it. So the man goes, gives him $300. Doesn't have a car note. He owns the title to the car. The car is pristine.
Just not a bet.
It's not a bet, but it looks exactly like a bet. My wife said, in that example, it's kind of like, did he sell it? Did he sell it? Because he wanted a Corvette. He got a car that looked just like a Corvette. It's just as pristine. Only pay $300 for it as opposed to the $50,000 or $60,000, or even up to $100,000, depending on how it's created. I don't know about too much about cars and everything. I know how to drive them. Do little things to them if I need to. As far as pricing, I'm not sure, but you spending $100,000 on a car, so you have to spend $300 on this car. It's not a Corvette. It's a nice car. It's not nothing cheap. Let's say it's a Genesis. Like those are cars. Let's say it's a Genesis. It's not a Corvette. But it's built like a Corvette. It runs like a Corvette. You have to take care of it like a Corvette. It's a Genesis. And let's say you say, man, it's brand new. I just got it. Let's say I just got it a year ago. I don't drive it much because I work a lot. My wife said, get it out the garage. So that's why I'm selling it. I don't really need the money. I'm just selling the car. You get it out the garage. If the man goes back and buys it, did he just sell it? And is that a negative thing if he did choose to sell it for that? Yeah.
I want to say that it's only settling as you make it into a negative thing, because all the features are there. It's just the dollar sign that is changing
And the name.
and the name.
Right.
But if you're not doing the exact same standards or qualities that the other car is doing, like, you set the standard, you set the bar for yourself. So if you settle, like, that's just where your standards are. You can always do better. There's always going to be somebody out there that has more, that does more, that makes more. You can do that. You just have to not give up in the sense of settling.
Right. So, is there a difference between settling and prioritizing? Yes, sir. No, answer that. The second question, but I think you were going to answer the first one.
Yeah, I was going to answer the first one. Basically, I was going to say, man, me and myself, I was thinking of Pontiac. Like, if you get a car like that and it looks just like a Corvette, man, you put some mods on that car. Be like them people with them big old wheels, look like a car about to flip over when you whip it. Seriously, like, you can put some mod, make that into a sports car. You ever seen Toyota's look like sports cars?
Yeah, I'm saying. Saw a little Honda yesterday. And I was driving that was tricked out. And you hear, we on the highway. I'm like, okay, I see you. I might not have done it to that car, but I see you doing. But okay. So my next question was, is there a difference between settling and prioritizing? Like, they were the same. Yes, sir.
Well, as we just read, I said wisdom is a defense, money is a defense.
Right.
So you won a Corvette and not being able to afford one and going out and try to, do what you can to get one. That's not like, what was the word you used? Yeah, that's not prioritizing. That's not using wisdom, because you might have a vet, but you won't be able to afford a home, all that other stuff. If you get you a Pontiac, you didn't settle, but you prioritized what you wanted.
There you go. So, like in that scripture says, money is defense, but wisdom is defense. But what did it say the excellency of? Was it money?
No, it said
wisdom. The excellency of wisdom. So that's wisdom. Let me say this. I'm a Camaro man. I love Camaro. So, but I've yet to be able to get one. When I get close to get one, sometimes it's close with no tomatoes. So I have to go over here. Now, I could think like I'm settling, but my wife had got me a car because my one had broke down. So the one I drive now was the one that she had got for me. So I was able to, y'all blessed me to be able to pay that off. So that car is paid off. That was off the lot. At like 16 or 20,000 miles. No car note. None of that. That's a blessing. I'm not saying that you don't know bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm showing where prioritize. Once I paid the car, I took it to the dealership and was ready to trade in. I said, I want a Camaro. That's what I want. I want my Camaro. Then I had to get hit with food. You don't have a car. The car is practically brand new. What you doing? Alright, bet. And I drive my car.
Yeah. I just seen someone break down outside my job in that Camaro.
See? And then Camaros, and then there are certain cars like Corvettes and Camaros, you can't just go to a regular place to get an oil change. I gotta go to specialized places to the dealership. And sometimes the dealership is way more than going to the oil places that where you can drive in. Yeah, exactly. So just like if I was like, yo, I want a Lexus, I want a Mercedes, I can't just take it everywhere. I had a Land Rover that I was taking to get oil changes. No, I was supposed to take to the Range Rover dealership. I could have paid. I'm gonna tell you something. I spent more money trying to, because every time I took it up there to get an oil change, I had to get the filters changed. I had to get this done. I had to get that done. To the point where I took it to where I took it to, and it broke down on me on 75 before I even hit the million days. It broke down on me. This truck was practically brand new and only had like 16,000 miles. They drove it from one place to the next. So, prioritizing, not settling. We do that in relationships. Now, I'm not talking about myself, that put myself down, but like I told my wife, I said I was like that. People don't know, but my first two wives, I wasn't who they really wanted. I was someone they settled for. And that hurts. You're the person that's just settled for. So, I just thought that was a great thought that my wife had brought forth. Now, I want to go into this Psalms 18 here. In the book of Psalms 18, let's start at the first verse, and I would like to go through it and discuss some of these verses in the book of Psalms chapter 18. And another question that I wanted to think about is, and I wanted to think about this while we're reading the Psalms. Am I good enough? Am I good enough? I want you to think about that question. Excuse me, while we're going over this Psalm 18, am I good enough? Verse 1 reads, I will love thee, O Yahweh, my strength. Now, what does loving Yahweh entail? Anybody can answer that question. What do you think loving Yahweh entails?
Acting like it. I said acting like it. Like actually like doing more than just lip service.
Okay. So actually doing it as opposed to saying it. Yes, sir.
Like, when you mean that it's been, you mean that it's basically saying, how do I love Yahweh?
Yeah, like what is it
pertains? Like, how do you show it?
By keeping the commandments.
Okay. So, is doing the commandments, because my brother said doing the commandments, that enough to show that you love God? That enough.
Yeah.
It is? No. Are you sure that is enough? Yes. Doing the commandments is enough, right? Very good. So I can do the commandments. Doing the commandments. Keeping the Sabbath holy. Whole grudge.
Well, if you're keeping the commandments, you're going to be on that.
See, here's the thing. You don't think that. How many of us in Israel, and I want those that may be listening, and it's going to be a sore spot. I'm going to ask this question, but how many of us know Yahweh is about how he feels about premarital relations, but still have premarital relations, but so-called keep the Sabbath? And how's that showing that you love Yahweh? If it was all about the commandments, still tailbearer, right? Still cause problems and commences in your home still struggling. What about that pride word? Is it possible for you to keep the commandments and still have pride? Yes, sir.
And the answer to all those things, like if you know that, like say you know you struggle with pride, and you actually do what you can to like try to like fix it day by day. Like, all right, today I'm gonna think less about myself and more of others. So I feel like as long as you take the steps to try to at least correct those things and not just live with them, yeah, you should be in good standing.
Well, that's a good example. But what about the person who said they keep the commandments but still hold to pride? Yes, sir.
What I would say is basically to him I would say, well, what I would like is look up the definition of it. Probably if you look up the definition of it, then you'll probably have a better understanding of what pride is and get rid of it. Because I felt how our egos can be very powerful, and it's like I was watching video. I might have said this already, but Terry King, right? And basically he was saying, just do you. Stop trying to compete with everybody because it's so much pressure when you try to compete with them instead of just doing you. But when you start to do you and start to not focus on everybody else trying to compete with them, then pressure starts to come off. So I'm just saying, just do you and just let it go. Because it's tiring. And not healthy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the first one.
The very first.
No, you had said something else.
Oh, tailbearer.
Premarital sex?
Premarital relations.
Yeah. I just feel like if a person say they love God, but if that's happening, they picking and choosing what they choose. So if you love the Almighty, you just going that because this is what I want to do.
Putting yourself before the Almighty. That's what a lot of us do sometimes. We put ourselves before the Most High. And in putting ourselves before Yahweh, that is very destructive. So, first verse, we're in Psalms 18. It says, I will love Yah, I will love thee, O Yah, my strength. Verse 2. Hannah, would you read verse 2?
Yahweh is my rock and my fortress and my deliverance. My Elohim, my strong rock, is him who I trust. My shield and the force of my salvation, my high tower.
Now that word I will trust. How many of us, and just think about it, you don't have to raise a hand, have true, unadulterated trust in Yahweh? And I will ask this. Give me an example of what that looks like. Because we'll say, you got to trust in Yahweh. What does that look like? Trust in Yahweh.
Um, the other day, I got into it before, and I just said, it's all you trusting in him that he's going to solve our problems and get us onto a better foundation. Like, just give it to him. Like, at the end of the day, I can't do anything. Like, I can say all I want to say, but at the end of the day, it's what I'm meant to do because God's going to make sure that we take it.
Okay, very good. Yes, sir. Now, my question is, what does trusting in Yahweh look like?
Trusting in Yahweh, basically there, running, and you're at the end of the cliff, and Almighty tells you to jump, do it.
Very, very interesting.
No, like seriously,
Very at that point. You talk about something. Very good. Very well. Yes,
I was just trusting in Yah. We have these problems with money, relationship, just pretty much anything. When we worry about these things, we're not trusting. I'm not trusting.
very good. Yes, Sister Angela.
I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood.
You want me to repeat it?
So, yeah.
Well, the question was, what does trusting in Yahweh look like? And Elijah said it's sort of like running towards the cliff. And y'all might say, jump. And I said that was very enlightening. That was very enlightening. Because those are the, like, to put trust in Yahweh is to put yourself totally in His hands. Now, of course, I know that y'all kind of literal, but He didn't mean that literal. It's sort of a figurative statement in the sense of putting your whole self in the hands of God. That's what I think a lot of us struggle with. Because once again, we're dealing with something dealing with someone we can't see, we can't smell. It's not tangible enough for that. So it's hard for me to put my trust in Him. Another great example was what Hannah said. Like, for example, like she said, if we're meant to be together, then we'll be together. I put it in your hands. But another form of trust is not giving up. For an example, I can say, look, this discussion or this argument that we're dealing with is too much for us. I'm going to put it in Yah's hands. And then do what? Putting it in Yah's hands also takes putting in work to figure out what the problem is. We can say I'm going to throw it in Yah's hands and then break off. But a lot of times we're not putting it in Yah's hands when we're still thinking about it. Right? I'm still thinking about it. It's still on my mind. If that argument is still on my mind, or that I'm going to say if that disagreement is still on my mind, you really haven't put it in y'all's hands. Because if it's hard for me to, even after I say I'm going to put it in y'all's hands, if it's hard for me to say I'm sorry, then I really have to put it in the hands. I'm going to harbor on to that and use Yahweh as a scapegoat for me not having to work on the issue. So I'm going to do that, really trusting in Yahweh. A lot of times, it's easier to say I'm going to put it in Yahweh's hands because it's easier for me to say that than to maybe take a look at myself and say, without a cause, that goes both ways. Not just, I'm putting it in Yahweh's hands. It was her fault, his fault. Another form of putting it in Yahweh's hands is let me sit back and look at you. Let me see where I went wrong. Maybe I did something. Maybe I said something. Maybe I didn't do what I needed to do. Now when I put it in your hands, but while it's in your hands, I'm going to work on it. I'm not going to concentrate on how wrong I think this person was or that person. I'm going to concentrate on where was my mistake in the situation. So let me take this time to work on me. And then Yahweh will work it out. We'll take it easy. But while I'm working on me, Yahweh, I want him to with me the whole time. So when Yahweh do bring us back together again, whenever we're faced with the same situation, it won't be the same. So trusting in Yahweh doesn't mean you just say I trust him when you sit back on the couch. You gotta put in work. But if I truly trust, it's just like this. Like you said, right? Figuratively speaking, the Almighty say, let's go. Let's you know what? Let's do this. Turn with me to the book of Genesis real quick.
Abraham had that sacrifice Isaac.
Yeah. What scripture is that? That's in the book of Genesis.
We were just reading that. Yeah.
That's what?
Genesis 18.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, Sister Anna. Turn with me to Genesis 18.
It'll be 19.
Genesis 19.
18, that's when they was talking about she gonna have a baby.
Okay, good. All right.
It's 20. It's 20.
That's the name that God's
21. Yeah, it's 21. 22.
Okay. Genesis 22. Genesis chapter 22. Turn to Genesis chapter 22. All right. In the book of Genesis chapter 22. Now we're dealing with that jumping off the cliff. Y'all say jump off the cliff. I got you. Let me ask this question before we leave. How many of us have been successful in saving ourselves?
What do you mean?
Put your hand up. No, I was asking you. I don't want you to. I just want you to. What you think? Many of us have been successful. They got all sorts. Like, for example, people have had blood clots in their body. What would have happened if those blood clots traveled to certain organs, especially the heart? How many of us have the power to stop our own death? And just because you may have drove somewhere and avoided an accident don't mean you saved yourself. Well, a lot of times people feel like, man, we give the Almighty to, you know what I'm saying, man, I saved myself out of it. I brought myself out of this predicament. I put on my own bootstraps. Put my own bootstraps and got myself out of it. Let me ask this question. How many of us are able to protect ourselves at night while we're sleeping? To be honest, maybe y'all got some kind of X-Men power I don't know about. Maybe y'all got that. You can come out your body and be like, no. I don't know what y'all got. How many of us have ever waken up that moment right before our alarm clock? Exactly. I mean, right before. You be like, whoa, it's literally a minute or two. You like, oh. How many of us have slept through the alarm clock going on? Yeah. But if I had control over that, I would wake up on time. I could be like, I'm not sleeping through this. How many of us have been in neighborhoods? I'm giving an example. How many of us have been in neighborhoods and been in places where not too far from where you live, there was a home invasion? They could have came into your house. So many times have it been when you sit down and you're like, what? They broke into, they drove right past my house? I was wondering why they was looking at me crazy, but they just kept on going. How many of us can explain why we drive through certain neighborhoods, and in the same neighborhoods, or when we would go out of town for Bible conferences, we would go to Mississippi, and there were certain parts of Mississippi that they would tell us, even this was in the 2000s, they were telling us, don't go, because you get lynched. How many of us have been through certain parts of this city, in this city, at night, in predominantly white neighborhoods? And you driving looking suspicious because you're trying to find your way out the neighborhood, and the police are just sitting right there. They might look at you, but they don't say nothing to you. They don't take your plates, though, I will say that. When they see you, they looking, they taking your plates, just in case. But right. And as soon as something pop up, and you done drove, but let's say you don't got warrants. Let's say you ain't renew your sticker. Your license is suspended. And you done drove and the police been right behind you. And they go and they hit their lights. And as soon as that hit, your heart drops. You're like, oh! But then they go, whoop, go right past you. Come on now. How many people do you know told you that they're going to see you next week? and they never woke up. Do you think if we had any control over protecting ourselves and our lives, that we would not die? We would want to die. We're just miserable with life. We just want to die. How many stories have you heard of people committing suicide and where other people did the same thing but survived it? People that got shot in the head. That's a kill shot. And survived it. People that had strokes and survived. People went in for DJ Youngfly's wife. Passed. Trying to have a cosmetic procedure. Kanye West's mother was having liposuction or something and died on the table. Too much anesthesia was given. People have been in comas. People have died. My mom went into the hospital. I saw her. She was cognitive. She was talking. The next day, she couldn't talk. She couldn't speak. She couldn't communicate. They had to give her, they had to sedate her. They told me and my brother that our mother was going to pass the next day. She ended up living a few weeks. She ended up living almost another week. And God was ready for her. So this is for those who want to talk about those that are atheists, and I looked into some of that stuff. That some of your scientists that even study religion. You have some that says, no, there is no God, there's circumstance, there's this, there's that, there's this. But then you have those. There's one famous one. I'm gonna have to get his name. I can't even look at it. There's one famous scientist who's an atheist that became someone that believed in the Almighty once he understood that there were things that science could not explain taking place. That there had to be a higher entity to create something like this. It couldn't just be created by aliens or man. There was a higher being that created these things. So when it comes to trusting in Yahweh, I've had a few examples of what does that look like. And if you can't tell me what it looks like, maybe that's because you're not doing it. Can a man truly say that he loves his wife if he beats her like she's something off the street? No. How can we say we trust Yahweh if we can't even give an example of what that is? Let's go back to, we're in Genesis chapter 22. Yes, sir.
First off, what you said, it made me give a testimony.
Sure.
So a while ago, before I had the job now, I was managing this fast food restaurant, and I got fired, right? And I was kind of salty off that. Some weeks later, I kid you not, a man got shot in the head, like, at my job. And at first, but now I'm like, dang, that could have saved me, because the time it happened, that would have been my shift, I would have been outside, like, all of that. So that could have easily been me. I just want to say praise y'all for that one.
Praise Yahweh. I had a meeting with some brothers one time, because I was wanting to do some music. And I met with these brothers, and we went to this restaurant. So we went to this restaurant, and one of the waiters, he looked crazy. kind of, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about like capital, but it was just how you look. Like, you just, you know, and I looked at him, we caught eyes, and he went in the back, but I guess he was off that day, right? Come to find out, I'm going to say maybe 2 days later, that same waiter ended up stabbing and murdering a fellow employee at that same restaurant in the back on his day, on his shift. And I was about, I'm going to say about maybe 17, maybe about 16. I had a friend who had bought a gun. And we outside chilling. He probably looked 22. Well, he had a 8, man. I think he looked 22. But the safety on it was broke. And he had it to my face and he was playing it. Had his finger on the trigger. And I'm like, man, move, stop, man. He's still. You know how many people that's going to happen to? And the safety worked, but because the safety was off, now here was no more. So once again, I ask, what is trusting in Yahweh? If you don't know and can't give an answer, we need to maybe check ourselves. Do I truly trust in Yahweh? And then comments. Okay, now we're gonna go to Genesis chapter 22. This is talk about trusting your Lord, trusting Yahweh. So we start reading verse 1 of Genesis chapter 22.
And it came to pass after these things that Yahweh did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here am I. And he said, Take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I tell thee of.
Now pause. Yeah, of course we know that this wasn't Abraham's only son. We also had Ishmael. But this is his only son, Sarah. This is the son that the covenant will be established. Now Sarah is way on up in her life. You understand? So this is her only child. The Almighty tempted Abraham by saying, I want you to take him and I want you to offer him. Now let's think about mine. Let me ask this question. Think about it. Please don't answer it. Just think about it. What if the Almighty came to you and told you to do this? How far would trust in Yahweh go? Say, take your baby and sacrifice your baby for me. What I want us to do is think about it. And let me say this. Think about it and be blessed that we don't have to go through this. Because then at that point, the things that took place here, these men will be looked at as bad. How you gonna believe in something you can't see? It told you to do what? Because when you call people, I ain't saying that I'm not justifying anything. But what about people who, there was a woman years ago who put her baby in the microwave. I went the microwave on, baby died. Said she was trying to get rid of the demons off. You see, when it comes to trusting in Yahweh, you got it really good. You don't even take advantage of it. Yahweh done blessed a lot of us to not have to sacrifice or be put in this position. But we don't even take advantage of it because we're so arrogant to think that I can save me out of my own situation. Continue reading verse 3.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went unto the place of which Yahweh had told him. Then, on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you.
So he told the young man, right here, the lad, we're going to go up and we're going to set up to the sacrifice. So the young man didn't think nothing of it. Sarah didn't think nothing of it. These are things that we did in ourselves. We're dealing with trust. Those are things that, like Sarah didn't think anything of this. Even the young man who were with. Heck, Isaac didn't even think nothing about it. This is my father. Right? So what happens when, just pause for a minute, what happens when, think about a time when your trust was broken. How does that make you feel? You want to share it. How does that make you feel when your trust was broken? Betrayed. When nobody trusts you. Right? It's hurt. You came in. Me and my wife watched this movie. His brother, he's a good guy. Had a lot of money. And he liked this girl. She was spicy. But he liked her. She liked him. But she was still in love with her ex, who was this thug who was in jail. When the thug guy gets out of jail, she sees him one day. And she's trying to fight the urge to be with him. Because she likes him, that this guy here, he's not a soft guy, but he ain't no thug. He a businessman. But he takes good care of it. Good care of it. Well, one day she just couldn't hold back. So she starts cheating. She cheats on him with the ex. One day she's in the midst of getting in with the ex, and it was at the time her fiance called. And he's like, why you want to pick him up? He's checking on him, talking about him. So then one day he goes on a business trip. She lives with him in Atlanta. He leaves to go on a business trip. She didn't know that he was coming back early. She done called the ex over, fixed him dinner, and then giving him the business. If y'all know what I'm talking about, with much discretion. He comes in and walks in. He hears it. He hears her hollering at him and the guy doing, oh my gosh, it was crazy. So he went and he lost it. He went to the cabinet, got his 45 out, went in the room, knocked both of them out, tied them up in his basement, went and got the guy who she cheated on, the ex, went and got his new wife and child, brought them down to the basement. They were tied up too. He kind of was like gonna show you how it feels to lose something. Loud, he blows the son's head. Then he shoots the wife. Make him watch. I mean, I'm not justifying it, but the betrayal this guy had. He had to go to therapy because he caught his first wife in the bed with somebody. So when your trust is broken, it hurts you. And when your trust is broken, how long does it take for it to be healed? What if that person comes to you and apologizes and tries to make amends? Is your trust easily fixed? Yes, sir.
Now, I'm just doing my trust. Like, say if somebody lied on me, yeah, I can forgive. I can probably forgive that.
I ain't talking about what you can forgive. No, I'm just gonna stay on top.
But it's
we're gonna stay on top and then you talking about each other. We're gonna stay on top. I'm not talking about what you can forgive. I'm talking about how did you feel when your trust was broken. That's what I want to know. That person came to you and said, man, I'm sorry. I apologize. Get over it. Or let's say they're coming to you with tears and they're crying. We're talking about that one kind of crying with the snot. But when your trust is broken, you may be able to forgive. But it's hard to forget. Every time you see that person, you see what they did. Right? It hurts. Your heart has been broken. And you start thinking about all the things that you did for this person. You were there for them when they were sick. You tried to be their friend. You tried to be a good lover, a good provider. And you tried all these things. Even if it's your own children. You like, do you know how I sacrificed for you? Do you understand? I had to work extra hours just to pay for some things for you. Hell, the field trips, the tuition, school fees, not to mention the things you needed for school and even outside of school. I fed you. When we were sick, I took off from work to take care of you. You do me like this? I was a good husband to you. I gave you the things that you wanted. All you had to do was ask, and you had it. You do this to me. I was a good wife to you. And you do this to me. How do you think the Almighty feels when we betray His trust? When we say things like, Yahweh understands. Do we really think Yahweh understands? When we presumptuously do things against Him? You hear my thoughts. So what do you think He thinks when someone asks you, hey, what if it's not me? What if it's somebody that's searching and they say, can you show me what it is to trust in Him? And you silent. Let me ask this question. I'm going to get a little more personal. What if someone came to tell me and said, we need a girl that's going to care about you, who's going to give you things when you're sick, going to make you feel better when you ain't feeling well, If it was me, I wouldn't have just gave you nothing to drink. I would have cooked for you. I would have did all that for you because you deserve it because you my king. And you see him, and let's say you overhear it somehow, and you being mature, like, well, let's see how this play out. And Tammy's sitting there like, yeah. How would that make you feel? And I'm not joking, in all honesty. Look at you, you're blazing right now just thinking about it. Like, I just made this in some soup, I cook for him, I make sure he this, I get this nigga rice to work. At that moment, you're heartbroken. Like, dude, you ain't even gonna stand in my defense. You gonna just let this chick get off with dogging me? And I'm your... Where was she at when you was meeting lies? Where was you at when you was this? Where was she at with this? See, she only coming to see you now because she don't know where I've been with you. That's heartbreaking. And then vice versa. Man, come up to you and be like, baby, you need somebody that can appreciate you. I will appreciate you. I would do this, I would do that, because baby, you know you deserve that. You're so beautiful. You don't see the interview, you not guys get me all kind of philosophical. You know, the sun don't shine unless you look up, baby. And you might be like, and Tamara like, I'm gonna see how this gonna play out. And she like, I would like somebody to give me compliments every once in a while. He's fuming. He's like, I just touched you how fine you are. I just said I miss your smile. You no good, so he broken. How do you think we do Yahweh? Yahweh like, I woke them up. And the same breath I gave them is the same breath they cursed me with. I could have kept that for someone who's going to serve me. But he gives us chance after chance after chance. And he says, or maybe he says, I have shown them the work of my hands. Now do we have an understanding on why Yahweh may not have wanted us to create an image of him? Now do we have an understanding of why he told Moses, tell him I am sent you. Don't worry about my name. Just tell him I am sent you because I'm going to be worshipped at my works. I want the people to see my works. That I'm a true and living Elohim. That I don't need to be erected by no stone. Because any image of the Almighty is going to have to be created from a stone that comes directly from heaven. No regular rock is worthy of holding the image of our Elohim. This is how. There's no paper made. There's no artist's hand pure enough that can even draw a shadow of what we think our Father could look like. At least that's how I feel. The only way an image could be made of the Almighty is if one of his malaks made it itself and brought it back. But Yahweh said, don't make no image of me. Let my works be the only thing that you need to know about. Right there. Tell him I am. Just tell him that most. Tell him that I am sent you. That's the type of Elohim that he served. And he said, man, trust me. Just trust me. I got you. So when you made that statement, that trusted in Yahweh, if you walk in that, Yahweh said, John, I got you. And some people might excuse that as being a mental issue. Like he jumped off the thing, he said, God told him to do it. Just then that's when we have to realize too, that's when we start building a relationship with God. Like, yo, I know the difference between if I'm being coached by something else and if I'm being coached by the Almighty. So Abraham rose up early to take his son to do what? Sacrifice. The sacrifice. Continue reading at verse 4. It's still in Genesis 22, read verse 4.
Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, Yahweh will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came to the place which Yahweh had told of him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him.
I'll read. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. Hey, Shalom. He said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou any harm unto him. Now, Abraham had a knife, and he was about to come down on his son Isaac. Now let me ask this question. After reading that, what do you think about Abraham? Let's say if Abraham was to be alive today, what would you tell him in this situation? Yes, sir.
How did you do it? That's probably what most people ask.
Hey! How did you do it? Yes, sir.
I honestly would have to commend him. And I say this because it's a two-parter. Earlier this week, I got a letter from the IRS. When I had paid my taxes, I made too much, so I had to pay them, right? But earlier this week, I got a letter from him saying I owed him money. The same amount I paid him. And I worried about that, even though I paid him. So for him to already trust in y'all over that, and I couldn't even trust in y'all over this, I have to commend him.
And what else? What would you say to him, son? What would you say to Abraham? Like, knowing that he was about to take his son's life, his only son of his wife. Now, do you think that was considered? Did he consider Sarah's son? Yeah.
But, okay. So, earlier in the book, God had told Abraham that he's going to have Sarah, the child, right? And, he said in a year, she will have a child, right? A year later, she was given a child. So, does that not show that he can trust because of the fact that he told him his word, proved the word with action, and then told him, trust me now. And then what did he do? Trust. So I don't want to have anything to say, honestly, but you did what was right. You trust.
And then, not to mention, he said that seed was going to be great. She told me that you don't establish the covenant with your seed. That Sarah had. So that was established before it.
Yeah.
So Abraham took it. So a lot of people might would say, well, we didn't consider Sarah's faith.
You could have talked to her, but at the end of the day,
She would have said no.
you should decide. You know? She should trust that he has the right leadership to lead the house.
Very good point. So what does everybody else say? Very good point. Now I'm coming to you. Okay. Like, should he have considered Sarah? Should he have told Sarah? Like, hey, Sarah, I'm not going to step out for to go sacrifice to the Almighty. Should he have said that?
He did it because there was how she was believing that he was talking to his the way it was presented, what he had to do.
Okay, very good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, never mind.
Yes, ma'am.
I just think that he put his first love first.
First love. So, anyone listening out there in the audience that may be listening, was that okay for him to do? Because earlier, the first part of that first sentence, that first verse in Psalm 18 says what? Love you. Is that a way of showing the Almighty love? By putting Him before everything?
Yeah.
But what do y'all think about, let's say, in Abraham's seed? Let's say that the doctor came to Abraham and said, your son is going to need this medication in order to save his life. But this medication, it contains a chemical that's going to cause the mass to grow even more made. And it's also made from hooves of pigs. Now this medication is the only medication that doctors are saying can save Abraham's son's life. What if he had that same love for the Almighty even at that point? And let's say that you're married to him. And you love your child. And he comes to you and the doctor say, well, in order to, because men, we you know what I'm saying, we love our children, but women are a little bit more emotionally attached to our children. So let's say your husband comes in there and says, hey, baby, they said this is medication, it's experimental. And they said that it'll take away the mass and they gave to survive. But it's made from the hooves of pigs. As a wife, you're going to go, oh, okay, that's like our baby. But then the husband said, no, I told him no. Because we have a strict dietary. In your mind of mine, how many of you will still look at that man and go, he's a strong man? He's basically giving your child a death sentence. Or I ain't going to say, I ain't going to use that woman. Let's say you looking, you're on the outside looking in, that woman, husband, sticking to the laws of Yahudah. He's basically giving their child a death sentence. Would you entail, look at that man being strong, man, or would you lean towards the emotion of that thing? But we're talking about showing love to the Almighty. Trust. Yes, sir.
I think
And let me say this too. When I ask questions, I'm not looking for a particular answer other than the truth. Be real. Real. Like, what would you look at that man and like you looking at him and think about your own child, your own children, and if God forbid something like that would happen.
so. I think from looking inside them that you kind of have to take this person and how strong she is. Because at the end of the day, she is the mom. She has, we nurture our children. That's our, we supposed to baby our babies, right? But as a man's role is to protect our family, to be the one that makes those tough decisions. And the fact that he is sticking to y'all, like, we all should have a relationship with God before any other relationship. So to stick to y'all and then be able to be strong enough to even understand that might kill your baby, then what's wrong with it?
You know, the deeper is that's the deep answer that you gave. But I didn't hear it. You consider God. We consider our own things, but we don't consider the Almighty. That's it. Like, there's one thing to go in there and you console yourself with that. I understand. How is that? But when you're in the midst of life or death, you know it's real easy to throw Yahweh out. Y'all know that, right? Yeah. When you're in the midst of life and death, it's real easy to throw him out. Be like, yeah, you sure? And I commend Yahweh, and I'm blessed to have the wife that I have. Because when I went in for my procedures, my surgery, my first one, they told me, this anesthesia is what we normally, it wasn't clean. It wasn't clean. So they had to use a little bit more of the other. And they got messed up that they take the one that's clean and they say, we got to use a little bit more of it. But why would you create it if it ain't working out there? So anyway, I didn't have a wife that said, well, maybe, maybe she didn't say nothing to him because he's waiting for me to go get my fortune. Really? Like, but seriously, I had y'all gave me a wife that was like, basically, with my husband. They gave me the anesthesia that was clean. They still found the blood clots. But the blessing was I didn't stroke out. I don't have to be saved. And my wife not understood the law of cleanliness or of what's clean and unclean. You know, so wow. Because it first starts with that. And then maybe it can progress into something else. But the one thing that Abraham should get is that husband should be condemned. Because it takes a lot of strength to say no to something that can save the brother. But now you put your true faith in Yahweh. It's easy to be like, yeah, give them medication and then once they heal, man, I trust in Yah. Did you really trust in Him? Because you let them put this medicine that's unclean in your body. baby may live another 34, 50 years. A little bit, you allow them to die on that table. You allow them to put that in their child instead of showing them. It takes practice and it takes work to trust in Yahweh. A question was asked years ago, I think it was about Minister Yoel or either other people about how will we stand with Yahweh with the AK-47 pointing at your face? Telling you either you call on, telling you to denounce it, to denounce Yahweh, and pick up their God. See, a lot of people, a lot of Israelites don't like to read the Apocrypha or the lost books. But Morah Don, when she gave a lesson a while ago, she gave one of her dynamic lessons in breaking down one of the lost books and dealing in one of the Apocrypha books about a wicked king that was basically murdering those who chose to serve Yahweh over him. And there was this one priest, Yahudah, the head priest, that brought him in. They stripped him. They put him on a machine that stripped his skin while he was alive. And all he had to do was eat the unclean meat. Refused. The Almighty promised us eternal life. But He did promise us immortality. Promise eternal life. And a good name lasts a lot longer than a good fortune. So it's not helping us.
And a servant of Yah. So to tell the doctors, no, you got to do things. And they do it. After doing that person of Yahweh that loves the Almighty to say no. Please believe in it. So I think that one that I think it is no. That was so strong. So no.
Any other comments or questions?
On what? The lesson in general?
Comments or questions? We're about to be ready to adjourn this portion. We're going to the second portion. After work.
We gotta start putting our best foot forward. We should have been doing that, but really, guys.
We'll finish this, y'all willing, next portion. Thank you for tuning in, because next portion we're going to go back into Psalm 18, then we're going to go into Job 3, and we're going to talk about some other things too, if y'all want to finish up, and then we're going to get some Bible trivia a little later. Alright, so I'm going to thank everyone for tuning in, and I want to apologize when I answered my phone. Sister Andrea, I thought it was you that called me, and I was going to answer because I thought you might would say you couldn't hear me, and we were going to try to fix it, but I apologize for answering my phone while broadcasting, and y'all really, outside of a true emergency, that will not happen again. To my listeners, to those that are watching, please forgive me for my rudeness. But what I want to say is I want to thank you for tuning in, for just participating. So hopefully, come on back to the house of Yahudah. Come back. We're going to take our break. We'll rebroadcast at 3:30. We're going to take a break, and we're going to cover some more of Psalm 18. Then y'all really going to break into chapter 3 of Job. And then we're going to deal with wisdom. And also, we're going to deal with some things on basically how to strengthen our relationship with God. And if you have any questions, if you have questions about Christianity, if you have questions about Islam or the Israelite walk, please ask them, send them in. So we're going to go ahead and take our break now. We're going to go ahead and pray out. So, tell me, you're not praying this out, my brother?
Heavenly Father, Yahweh Elohim, first and foremost, we thank you for allowing us to see another blessed and victorious day, even on this Shabbat, oh Yah. As we go into this day, pray me allow wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to be upon us, but we'll find to our days with diligence. Oh Heavenly Father, Yahweh Elohim, as we go into the Shabbat, I pray you may allow us to keep our foot, oh Yah, that we speak not our own words, find our own pleasures. We do that which is right until Allah, that's your judgment. Praise the Mighty YAH. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And Yahweh bless us and keep us. May He allow His face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. And He lift up His countenance upon us and give us peace. God, thank you. And God bless you for without you in us. Hallelujah.
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 Praise the Mighty YAH. God is righteous. God is holy. And Yahweh be magnified. All right, so we're going to be back on at Yahweh at 3:30. 3:30. So come on back, sharing the praise, sharing the questions and the conversation, and also the Bible trivia that I have. So let Yahweh be our guide and our blessings. Praise Yahweh. Hallelujah. Praise Yah.
Any questions anyone? Questions anyone? I got a question. So I ordered some shoes, right? And they